think we're getting close. I think we're getting close to time, my friends. What time is that? Oh, well, it's the time to make a crossover between this identity and my usual professional public identity. That is the intention. I just wanted to make sure that I had my messaging straight. I'm not going to get everything perfect. I think that's where I really go crazy, is I try really hard to try and make sure I have everything perfect, and it's just not going to happen. And actually, that's something I'd like to talk to you about, because, see, I realized something, and this next piece is really difficult to write. Like, I'm really trying, but it's a very important message, and it requires a lot of logical steps to get to. So it's kind of taken me a while, and I'm kind of anxious to get it out. But what I'm trying to do is reintroduce a logical case for the human spirit, right? Because we basically tossed out the spirit 100 years ago, 120 years ago now, around the time of Nietzsche, I would say. And it might have been Nietzsche himself who threw it away, actually. That's part of my writing, actually. But that was a mistake. Now, a lot of people thought that when we threw out, like, religion, for example, that we would be getting rid of all the dogmatism and all the evils and all this stuff. Well, guess what? That's actually not religion. That's human beings. That's how human beings are. It doesn't matter what. You take their religion away, they'll just make another one. They'll make a religion out of science. They will always have their religion, first of all. What I'm talking about is not religion. I'm talking about the spirit. Okay? I'm talking about not the logical aspect of man, but the aspect of man that is mysterious, the aspect of man that aspires us to higher, even when it seems like it's impossible. The spirit is that thing that, when we follow, miracles sometimes happen, right? Some people have never experienced this because they've never had any faith in anything, so they think it's just bullshit, right? But for those of you who have ever experienced something that seemed impossible, that saved your ass at the last second, right? That's what I'm talking about. And here's sort of how it works. Think about it. So, in order to pursue the spirit, right, you have to, it's mysterious. That's its whole nature. There's no way to know what it is or what it wants or what it means, right? It's sort of like a higher part of us, or you could say the universe, or maybe you believe in God. It doesn't matter, but it's something higher than us, right? And when we go about our day, we have a choice. The only thing we can do is control our will, right? And this is part of the reason why so many things are meant to distract your willpower, right? Pornography, junk food, garbage television, just so many things to just make your willpower so weak and non-existent, right? Because what you need to do in order to access the spirit is you need to follow your will. Have you ever wanted to do something that you thought, I really want to do that, and I really ought to do that, and then you didn't do it? Yeah, bad call. Bad call. And we all do it. No judgment. We all do it. But what you have to get into the habit of is you have to strengthen your will, and you have to do what you know you ought to do. Like Socrates called it his daemon, right? He said he had this little voice in his head that he always listened to all the time. And that was the thing that made him different than other people. You could say that was his will, right? But here's the thing about the will, right? You don't always get what you want. That's the thing. So you have to pursue your will, but you also have to understand. You can't be like a violent tyrant. You have to understand that you're not always going to get what you want. And that is where the spirit comes into play. See? Because if you pursue your will and you get stifled in some way, or it doesn't go the way you expected, or something goes wrong, and then you wait, or the next day comes, and then somehow something happens totally unexpected and you actually end up getting or doing, or something happens where you end up in the situation you were trying to get to with your will, but somehow the Spirit took over and it manifested itself. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me a few times, actually. Now, you don't necessarily have to believe it's all mystical, right? I mean, there's a certain amount of probability to life. And our brains, our subconscious brains, are always working on stuff that we can't really access in our conscious mind. So whether you believe it's a higher power, or whether you just think it's a subconscious process that's guiding you toward something, either way, the Spirit is real. And it's been talked about, like the Holy Spirit in Christianity, the divine spirit in other religions I'm not as familiar with right now. I know I studied Buddhism for a while, but I can't remember what they call it. But there's a will to life. And then there is the ability to let go of control. And you have to go through all the steps. You have to pursue your will. If life says, hey, you ought to be a writer, you have to try to be a writer, and then maybe shit gets in your way. Maybe you got bills and you got to go to work and you got to do all this stuff, and your kid gets sick or something crazy happens, you break your arm, all kinds of stuff happens, and you can't sit down and write. But if you keep pursuing it, the opportunity will present itself eventually, right? That's the Spirit I'm talking about. Now, why am I talking about this? Because this is what I have to go through in this battle. You guys have seen me. I've been down in the dumps first couple videos. It's a depressing time to be isolated, to be alone, to be away from your kids, to not know if they're safe. It's a crushing thing. And I wanted to show and I wanted to document this because, well, not only because I want to talk about this and be candid, but there's also an attack against me. There are lies being thrown against me that are saying that, oh, I'm just having a blast and I'm just cheating and I'm doing all this horrible shit. No, I'm not having a good time. The only reason I'm able to withstand any of this is because of how many times I've had to endure this kind of thing consistently over the years. And see, my whole life has been to this point consumed by this narrative that I am this person that I know I'm not, because I haven't been able to speak for myself effectively. So that's part of what this is for, is to just simply speak for myself. That's literally it. Just speak for myself. And come what may. Because that's what the will's telling me to do. My will is like, you need to speak. And nothing's happening. You know, I don't even have any views. I mean, it's only like 5 videos in, so it's like whatever. But I don't know what's going to come of it. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to keep pursuing my will. It's my will to fight this in court. It's my will to file some more motions and to continue this legal battle. And it's probably not going to go well at first, right? But I have to have faith that the Spirit that I'm trying to reintroduce, and I think I have a really good case for it. That's why I said I'm really anxious to finish my writing, because it's a very strong case that I've put together to reintroduce the Spirit into the zeitgeist, right? Because that's what we need. We're dying. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but this civilization is dying. And we're all distracted by bread and circus while it goes down, but it's dying. And I'm on here, you know, I'm not trying to be all polished up. I'm not trying to, have all this production value. I'm not trying to, obviously I'm not trying to make my hair all nice. I'm bald in here. I already told you about the hair. I'm growing it out. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be honest with you, which is something that you might not come across. Heard someone say recently that YouTube kind of smells like a brothel. You know, everybody's always trying to sell you something, trying to whore themselves out a little bit. That's not what this is for, man. That's not what this is for. I'm trying to, again, reestablish an ancient tradition. One that is desperately needed, it seems like. And it's difficult, man. I mean, when you go through it like this and you go through the whole deal and you abstain and you do not run away from your pain, I mean, it goes all the way back, dude. I'm going all the way back to like stuff that happened in my childhood that I haven't thought about in like 30 years. You know? It goes all the way back. These are the things we run from, man. And I encourage you, don't run. Don't run. Don't run away. Run toward your will. And if things don't work out, that's all right. Just go to sleep, wake up, fight another day. Keep pursuing your will. And the Spirit, that mysterious aspect of our lives, will come together somehow. It doesn't happen for all of us. It doesn't happen all the time. That's what makes it difficult, right? It's not magic. People want to sell you on this magic notion like, oh, if you just focus real hard and you'll just manifest whatever. No, that's not what I'm talking about. No. I'm talking about if you pursue everything and you try to do everything you can, and you might do that for years, and you might feel like nothing has worked. I've been here not even once. I've been here multiple times. You work hard for years, you feel like nothing is even working. And then all of a sudden, something will happen that just brings everything together, sets you on a new path, and puts you in a situation where you are right where you need to be, even if you didn't know that's where you needed to be. Right? That's what I'm talking about. This isn't about manifesting what you want. No. It's not about what you want. Okay? You have to pursue the will as part of it, but that's only part of it. Okay? That's just the part that you have control over. And when I say will, I don't mean desire. See, because in order to pursue your will, you have to tame your desire. There's a reason why I'm doing semen retention. There's a reason why I'm not watching Netflix every night. There's a reason why I'm not eating a bunch of junk food and trying to keep my diet clean. There's a reason, because I need my will to be strong right now, or I will not overcome this battle. I have to face every weakness inside of me, and there's a lot of them. We all have them. That's why we run away. That's why the doctor can sell us a pill to make us forget. It's good business, but it's just business. If you really want to heal, you really want to get better, you really want to live like free, ain't going to be easy, man. The world wants you to lay down and be a slave, man. And I defined exactly what a slave is. Like when I said at the beginning, it's almost time. Well, it's because I want to share my writings. I want to share my writings with y'all. Anyone who might be watching these videos. And in order to do that, I have to share my public persona and make the connection. But in my writings, I formally defined what a slave is. And basically, a slave is, and I formally defined responsibility and authority, but we will skip over that for now, because that's the foundational piece of the argument. But just have a colloquial understanding of authority and responsibility, that's good enough. A slave is essentially just someone who has responsibility but no authority. So think of the typical image you might have of a slave. The slave is given some responsibility, like you have to plow this field, but they have no authority. They don't get to keep the fruits of their labor. It's not theirs. They're a slave, right? Now, there are two other classes. Okay, based on the two characteristics of responsibility and authority, there's three possible classes. So there's slaves, then there are masters. So a master is someone who has authority and responsibility. Okay, so that is the man who has his field, who plants it, sows it, reaps the benefits, right? So he's not a slave. He doesn't work for anybody else. He works for himself. He is a master. He has both authority and responsibility. Now the final class is the one that we all forget. And they like us to forget, by the way, because that's the class of people who have authority without any responsibility. So that's like the spoiled rich kid who's out on the field lashing the slave, doesn't have any real responsibility because his dad owns the farm, right? And he's just taking the crop. He's just taking the fruits, not having any responsibility whatsoever, just taking everything for himself, taking what he can. This is the royal class. Now think about this for a second. We worship royalty in this culture. Why do you think that is? Well, because royals like to entice slaves. Royals love to entice slaves into thinking that they're free by giving them all sorts of stuff. Sound familiar? I'm telling you, I worked all this stuff out. You guys have no idea how far down I've gone with this. All right, well, yeah, so that was my last writing, and I'm using that as a foundation. You know, I don't want to go too far into it because I already wrote a lot about it, but from there, I'm trying to build a case to reintroduce this notion of the Spirit. Because logic, as powerful as it is and as useful as it's been for me to put all this together, it's not the only way. You could say the will is like an exercise of logic, right? And the Spirit is like an exercise of, what would you say, statistics, right? Like a machine learning algorithm. It's not logical. It's doing pattern recognition, right? So the Spirit is like akin to the subconscious process of pattern recognition, if that's how you want to see it. I don't know if that's really what it is, although I do talk about that a little bit in my work so far. But regardless of how you want to conceptualize it, again, if you want to conceptualize it scientifically, you can. You want to conceptualize it religiously, you can. But the important part is that it's not some pie in the sky, woo-woo, feel-good thing. The important part is that it's actually real. It's just as real as our will. It's just as real as logic. It's just as real as statistics. It's just as real as everything else. The Spirit exists, and we should not have thrown it away, and we are paying the price as a culture for throwing it away. And we need to bring it back. That's what we need to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And you, man, I can't describe to you the immense burden. You know, and it's probably pronounced by having my kids revoked from me. You know, that definitely makes it harder. But it is an immense burden. And you know, I'd cry right now if I could, but I've become so strong. I've had so much pain. I can't even, I'm numb to it. I'm not numb to the pain, but I'm numb to the idea of expressing weakness. I just can't do it anymore. It doesn't do any good. And that's not totally true. Like, I have shed a few tears over this situation in private. But for the most part, it's just, I just got to keep pushing forward, man. Got to keep getting stronger. There ain't nothing else to do. Not strong enough yet, got to keep getting stronger. What else are you going to do? Got to keep getting stronger till this corruption is ended, till I can cut my hair finally. I'm not going to cut my hair till this corruption is ended. I guess I'm going to keep saying it in every video just in case you haven't watched the other videos. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about. The Spirit is real. It's real. And hopefully I can share my writings with you guys soon. I look forward to it. Till then.